it's Garry Kasparov, the world chess master and Russian oppositionist, who once said, people can independently arrive at the same truth, but you cannot independently arrive at the same lie.
I'd love to do a podcast with him. He's
out of both of our league, but he's a great writer, and I like using Kasparov as an example of good leadership, setting a good example, because you have a lot of discussions these days about bad Russians, all Russians are bad, blah blah, and then people on the other side playing the victim, saying, "Oh look, we're repressed because they think we're all bad." No, Kasparov is a great man and a Russian. A good Russian, so to say. But the example he sets, because he doesn't look away and say, oh, I don't agree with what Putin does, so it's not my war, and then just watches as their country kidnaps 700,000 kids. No, he says, I'm against this war, so I will support Ukraine. I am against the war fought by my country in my name, so I am going to resist it. This is the difference between active and passive resistance, and the difference between individual and collective responsibility. My hometown here, Rotterdam, bombed to heck and back by the Germans in World War II. It gave us a lot of room to rebuild. We have great modern infrastructure, roads, metros, and skyscrapers because we got bombed to heck. But then did Germans afterwards say, oh no, but I did not agree with World War II, so I am not to blame? No. There was collective guilt and collective responsibility because the entire nation did the things they did in World War II. And it's from that collective guilt and responsibility that Germany rebuilt and reinvented itself into a modern, democratic, Western nation that by now I am happy to have as a neighbor. And more or less, we argue about missiles and Taurus missiles and stuff, but more or less, Ukraine and the Netherlands now Germany and the Netherlands now stand side by side to support Ukraine. So I'm very proud and happy of my German brothers and sisters, how they reformed since that whole mess 80 years ago. But it's because they admitted the collective responsibility, because they were not individually guilty of murdering people, but they were collectively responsible for what happened. And we need to keep this in mind, that the only opportunity for real change is through that, not pushing away collective responsibility, but by taking it, that Germany reformed, that Japan reformed, that Italy reformed, all after World War II. And even today, I am hoping, praying that Russia can reform after this whole mess. But the only way they're going to do that is by taking that collective responsibility that they ignored after the fall of the Soviet Union, when they pretended, oh, everything's different now, let's go do the same thing again. And this is why I'm so happy with Garry Kasparov, who sets an example, but thereby also shows, by actively supporting Ukraine, by speaking out, by being a leader, fundraising, drones, the whole thing. But because of the example he sets, it shows how little the 99.9% is doing. And that's why so many dislike him, because he showed that this is why we as people dislike people who actually do stuff, because it makes us all look bad.